What's going on, Pizza fam? Listen, before we get into the episode, I just wanted to make a quick shout out to Thrive POS. They've recently partnered with the podcast and they bring an exclusive offer for our listeners. Listen, Thrive POS is not just a POS system. It was built for operators just like us. It's fast, it's reliable, and most importantly, it helps us focus on what matters: our pizza, our people, and our profits. Check out the exclusive offer from Thrive POS at thrivepos.com/Pizza King, or just click the link in the description. Now let's get into the episode.
He literally turns around from his desk, gets on his hands and knees, opens up a safe, takes a checkbook out and says, "How much money do you need to buy the business?" And I said, "Well, it's $80,000. And he goes, "And how much do you have?" And I said, $464. And he thought I was being a comedian, and he literally wrote me a check for $80,000 and handed it to me.
My goodness. Thank you, David, for joining me here on Pizza King Podcast. Let's introduce the folks to Celebration Marketing. I know you and I have talked a couple of times over the last few weeks, and I just really enjoy getting to know you. Tell us who you are and what Celebration Marketing is.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Celebration Marketing is a direct mail and digital company where we have a birthday program where we work with restaurants all over the United States, bringing in birthday guests. For example, we work with many, many independent operators all over the country.
Right.
Birthdays is the number one reason that people go out to eat, and they typically, over 80%, bring groups of 4 or more people on that occasion.
So you decided that this was an opportunity for you to, help restaurants and other businesses just capitalize on that occasion?
Yes, I was a partner in 3 dine-in Italian restaurants. And there was just one weekend, I just noticed all these birthdays that were being celebrated there. And I thought to myself, wow, if we could have more and more and more birthdays there, what that would mean. And I noticed that they all get entrees, order drinks, get desserts. They spend more money than they typically would because it's a special occasion. So I was able to figure out how to make that happen for our restaurant. And then I'm like, well, if it's working for our restaurant, what about all the restaurants all over the United States? And that's how it got started.
It makes sense. I mean, you think about yourself, it's like, oh, my birthday only comes once a year, but every day is someone's birthday.
Exactly right. Every day, it's always somebody's birthday.
That's awesome. How do you find the birthdays?
Well, what we do is when we walk into a restaurant, we can do birthdays either by radius, 2 or 3 miles around the physical location of the restaurant, or you can choose zip codes. I would say the high majority choose a radius. Then we offer 4 different demographics. The first one we do is either all male birthdays, female birthdays, or both. When we got started, we were doing a lot of males and females. But then what we realized are in a lot of occasions, females are the ones who make the plans, get the groups together, so forth. So I would say a high majority of our restaurant owners choose female only. Then we can do dwelling type, single family homes only, or townhomes or condos, depending on where you are, what you want. Then we can choose combined household income of $75,000 or more, $100,000 or more, depending on where you are, what type of restaurant you have.
Mm-hmm.
And then to me, the most interesting one is the age of the birthday. I would say our sweet spot is ages probably 40 to 69. But again, you can go younger, you can go older, but I would say our sweet spot is 40 to 69.
40 to 69, those birthdays become a little bit more important, start to get a little older.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I'm right in the middle of that. And I don't know, I guess I got a birthday coming up here this weekend. And
on our cards.
I hope so. I hope someone sends me something for my birthday because, my wife asked what I wanted to do. I'm like, I don't know, let's just go out for pizza. So,
right.
Which is what we always do. But I do want to just go out and have pizza at a place that we've never had pizza before. And Wouldn't it be great if they actually sent me like a gift card or something, or just a postcard or a welcome to say, come on into our place?
It's funny that you say that, because when we started it at the restaurant that I was involved with, there was a lot of the consumers who would go up to the owner and say, "Thank you so much for sending me a birthday gift. My sister or brother didn't even call me or do anything, but you remembered me."
Exactly.
So that was nice. The other thing that's really important is there's a major difference between a gift and a coupon. A lot of your listeners might be used to, two pizzas and a soda for $23.99.
A
That
deep,
that's a deal, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we're talking about a gift, no strings attached. A $10 gift certificate, a free pizza, something like that, where it's no strings attached. You just want to invite them in, have them have a wonderful experience, and hopefully make them a regular.
yeah,
And for the people that are already regulars, then it's your once a year to say, "Thank you so much for your business. Here's a free pizza or a $10 gift certificate." You'd be surprised how many restaurants are like, maybe they didn't have the best experience at your restaurant. The wait was too long.
yeah,
The food came out cold. This is another chance where there's an emotional connection for your birthday to invite them back and make them a regular. And then there's another group that just have never been into your restaurant. And now this is your shot to get them in and make them a regular.
yeah.
So there's all different types of customers that you're trying to get.
I don't think anyone can ever be upset with a gift, regardless of the dollar amount or the value. Someone thought of me, and this is just the gift. I know we kind of talked a little bit before about your story and how you started the company, and from your roots as a restaurant owner and partner. How did you then decide that, okay, I'm going to go all in on this? What was that? What was that moment like?
In 2006, I'm actually located, and the corporate office is in Baltimore, Maryland. So in 2016, I had heard about a gentleman in Texas who was doing birthdays very successfully. So I connected with him, got started in Baltimore, did really well, and bought my way out of the agreement in the spring of 2019. Then when COVID hit, as we all remember, in March of 2020, I decided to take this national in the summer of 2020. There was a gentleman in my life going back a few years, back in 1994. You guys might know what Money Mailer is. It's similar to Valpak. It's an
Mhm.
envelope with coupons, right? I'm sure a lot of your listeners know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
I was a straight commission sales rep, and there was a franchise for Money Mailer available in Baltimore. And I did not have two nickels, literally two nickels to rub together. One day, I walked into an art gallery. They owned a discount frame place that was doing Money Mailer coupons. And the lady there just started asking me, like, "Is this what you want to do the rest of your life?" Just started asking me questions. And I said, "Well, I'm actually trying to buy a franchise." And she goes, "Well, honey, I know a lot of people at banks. I'll help you get the money." And I said, her name was Joni. I said, "You don't understand, Joni. I've been into every bank you can imagine. They all turn me down, that I don't have enough collateral. I don't have enough experience, whatever." And she says, "Do you have a few minutes?" And I said, "Sure." So she disappears to the back of the gallery. Felt like it was 3 hours, but it was probably like 20 minutes. Back, she motions me to come over here. So I walk back. She goes, "I'd like to introduce you to my husband." So I go to this back office, and her husband's there. They close the door. He has me sit down in a chair, and he starts asking me all these questions. How old am I? Where did I go to school? What experience do I have? Am I married? Kids, parents? Asking me, like grilling me with all these questions. So he finishes. We're like maybe 15, 20 minutes into it. Joni, his name was Aaron. Joni says, "This is the young man that I told you about who sells me Money Mailer ads for the last couple of years. There's something about him that I like." And he goes, "Should we give him a chance?" And she said, "I would love to." So he literally turns around from his desk, gets on his hands and knees, opens up a safe, takes a checkbook out, and says, "How much money do you need to buy the business?" And I said, "Well, it's $80,000. And he goes, "And how much do you have?" And I said, $464. And he thought I was being a comedian, but I was like really being serious. And he literally wrote me a check for $80,000 and handed it to me.
My goodness.
And I was so naive back then. I mean, I was 27, 28 years old. I had the check and I said, is this check going to clear? And he thought that was like the funniest thing he ever heard. Yeah, I think it'll be okay. And I said, do I have to pay you back? And he goes, do you know what the word interest is? I said, not exactly. He goes, well, you'll learn. You're going to learn what interest is. And I'm like, when I go back to the office, nobody's going to believe me. And he goes, would you like to take the check with you? I said, yes. And he said, okay. And he goes, well, get in touch with me when it gets closer, to when you're signing the contract, and I'll get you a certified check. So I went back to the office back then this is Valentine's Day of 1994. Back then there were no cell phones. So
you have this gold in your hands. You can't even tell anybody.
And I want to tell everybody, I think that people who had a lot of money back in the day had this big phone, if you can remember, between the passenger seat and the driver's seat.
I've only seen that on TV.
Yeah, that's what they had. Of course, I didn't have one. So I went back to the office. Nobody believed me. Eventually, they believed me, my wife, this and that. So on May 25th, this is the part of the story that I think you're really going to like. So on May 25th, 12 o'clock was the day that I signed the contract to buy the business officially. 11 a.m., I go to this gentleman's office, Aaron Young, takes me back. Now I'm a big shot because he knows me. So I just went right to the back, closes the door, comes over and says, we need to have a talk for a few minutes. And I said, oh, please, God, tell me you're not changing your mind. He goes, no, everything's fine, relax. And in an envelope, he had a certified check. He goes, would you like to hold it? I said, yes. And he said, we never discussed how you're going to pay me back. What's your plan? And I said, I'm so glad that you asked that. So I take out of my back pocket, I had copied the night before a 30-year mortgage. And I literally, so if you do 30 years times 12 months, that's 480 months. And I took the $80,000 and divided by that, whatever the payment was. And I didn't really fully understand what interest was. He goes, that's how I'm going to pay you back. And he goes, you've got to be kidding me. You're going to take 30 years to pay me back? And I said, is there any other way? And he goes, oh my God. Do you need help? And he said, I'm going to charge you interest. He goes, I'll help you figure it out. And he said 5%, which of course was nothing. Back then it was nothing. So I'm like, okay, thanks. And I said, so am I ready to go? He goes, no, not yet. And he said, what's your favorite restaurant? So I tell him what my favorite restaurant is. He said, for the next 3 years, you're going to pick me up every Monday at 6 o'clock, and I'm going to take you out to dinner to your favorite restaurant. And I'm going to teach you about being an adult, about being a business owner, about investing.
Wow.
And I said, okay, that's not a problem. And I said, is there anything else? And he said, yeah, there's one more. He goes, there's one more thing. And he said, I've checked you out a lot over the last 3 months. And I said, what do you mean exactly that you've checked me out? He goes, through the help of your friends, I spoke to some of your high school teachers, college professors, your parents, and your friends. I'm like, what? You talk to everybody? He goes, there's something special about you. He said, there is. He goes, you're going to have a lot of money and power one day. And I said, you understand I've got literally $464 to my name? And I said, I don't think that's going to happen. He goes, it's going to. And he said, and when it does, and you're in a position of power, I want you to give back and do what I'm doing for you. He said, you're the one who's got to do the work. But he goes, I'm giving you a chance to walk through the door. And I said, promise me that you will. And I said, that would be my personality anyway, but I promise. Unfortunately, through the years, he was an incredible mentor, as you can believe it. He got me into investments into other restaurants, shopping centers, artwork, all these different things. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2016, which was a very big loss to me, sudden. And the reason I started Celebration Marketing was for him. We have 45 dealers similar to a franchise network throughout the country who sell our advertising services. And in honor of him, I did not charge anybody for the opportunity. I put 45 people in business for free. They were trained for free. There's no royalties. There's nothing. And I did that on behalf of Aaron to pay it forward.
What a story. First of
It
all,
was so long for your listeners.
no, that was not long. That was great. So you got to have a mentor for 20 years to really, everyone thinks like, oh, it just happens overnight, but you literally got to spend 20 years with your mentor and then pay it forward. That's incredible.
Thank you.
That's an incredible story. And thank you to you for fulfilling the promise and giving back. I know that those 40 plus affiliates or, partners really across the country are grateful. Running a pizza shop is not easy. You're juggling orders, staff, and everything in between. That's exactly why I teamed up with Thrive POS. They're a company that built their POS system for pizzeria operators who live this every single day. I've worked with their team before, and I've seen firsthand how focused they are on making tech that actually fix our workflow. It's not the other way around. So if you're ready to simplify your operations, streamline your online orders, and get better control of your shop, this is the move. Head on over to thrivepos.com/Pizza King to see exactly what they're doing for operators all across the country. Again, that's thrivepos.com/Pizza King and get the exclusive offer. Now let's get back to the episode.
I believe they are. And it's funny because I remember when we were trying to recruit them and get them in, and they said, well, how much will this cost? And I said, well, it's actually free. And I'm like, well, what are the royalties? There are none. And I was almost like that's impossible. And you would try to explain it to them. Sometimes I would at first scare them away because it was too good to be true.
Yeah.
When you get something for free, like what strings?
Be skeptical, like what?
Right.
Someone's going to take advantage of me.
And then I would tell every single one of them a story, and they would be in tears. They couldn't believe it, and it was a strong way. I didn't realize it. I didn't do it for this reason, but it was a strong way to recruit people. It wasn't meant for that, but it did help recruit people to sell.
Is celebration marketing what you envisioned it to be from the beginning? Are you realizing that even today?
Yeah. We have 15 full-time employees, that work for us. We have several salespeople who sell advertising for us throughout the country. We've got ad agencies who give us business. There's independent contractors, who maybe have some advertising and connections who sell our products. So it's going really well. I know we've talked a lot about birthdays, but if it's okay, we do a few other things. Would it be okay to tell you a little bit about those?
Yeah. So our audience are, these are business owners. They are folks who are trying to, drive a little bit more traffic to their restaurants or, pull a little bit more down in profit or just find their way in marketing because they make great recipes, but they don't really know how to push the business. So I wanted to bring you on because you have solutions that can help them. So please dive into that and give them some insight.
All right. Well, birthdays, obviously, we talked a little bit about, but I want to be clear. When we started this, our focus for birthdays was dining restaurants with waiter, waitress service.
Right.
But then as we've been selling more and more and more, the restaurants that maybe have a few tables, don't have waiter, waitress service, they do carry out delivery. We have found that those places do extremely well with our birthday program. You'd be surprised how many people thank the owner and saying, it's so nice for the community that you have a birthday program where you're inviting me in. And then all of a sudden it shows up on Facebook, Instagram, all these things talking about your restaurant because you have a birthday program. So all the way around, whether you're a dining restaurant, carry out delivery, it works. Another program that we have is our new movers program. So these are people that moved from one zip code to another zip code, have moved in the last 3 to 4 weeks, and now they're getting a card in the mail. Welcome to the neighborhood Michaelson family. Here's a free pizza, a $10 gift certificate. You want to be the first one there because obviously in most cases, all of your business owners have many, many competitors and you'd like to get the first shot, show them the red carpet, invite them in, have this wonderful experience, and hopefully you'll be the place every Sunday that they call for that pizza and wings and so forth. With both of our programs, we're seeing double-digit returns of 10% plus.
It is
Gone
unheard of in
really,
print.
it's gone really well. So that has been a major way. You can imagine whether it's carryout, delivery, or restaurants, it's one of the top 2 or 3 categories in the country for new movers. It really, really works, and it's a way to really broaden your customer base and make sure that, remember, 20% of the country moves every year. So as much as you're excited about 20% moving into your area, also remember 20% are moving out. So when these people are moving in, what are you doing to get them to come to your restaurant? And you want to be the first one in. But that's how a new movers program can help.
I'm sure that, the customer obviously just loves getting that gift or getting that
Yep.
offer in the mail. But I imagine you've probably changed the lives of some business owners too.
Without a doubt.
Can you tell us about some of your favorite success stories?
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to say is, a lot of times when we go in, they'll say, we don't coupon. We don't want to give anything away. And we're like, we're not a saturation mailer. We're not a coupon. We are literally sending out gift certificates on behalf of your restaurant, inviting them in, whether it's for your birthday or you're welcoming them to the neighborhood. Success stories. There's a gentleman in Baltimore who owns a sports bar restaurant, send out 800 birthdays a month. They get between a 22 to 30% return every month. Their offer is a $15 gift certificate, no strings attached. Their average is about $70. Subtract out the 15 for the offer. You get the idea.
Mhm.
They're getting $55. They're getting approximately 200 people a month. And imagine all the people they're telling. And imagine all the new people that they've gotten in, birthdays that they've made regulars over the years. They literally have advertised for 9 or 10 years. I think the only time that they skipped was during that 2 or 3 months during COVID, when a lot of restaurants, as we all unfortunately remember, were closed. There is we have a fine dining Italian restaurant where the average ticket's about 120 to 140. It gets about a 10% return. They mail 1,500 birthdays, and they have a $15 gift certificate, no strings attached.
Oh.
And they're getting anywhere from $10,000 plus of business a month. And a lot of these places are like, I don't want to do $20 off for dinner or $10 off 50 or more. That's a coupon. What we're doing is a straight gift certificate, inviting them into the restaurant with their family to have this great occasion. And again, we get a lot of groups of 4, 6, and 8. I do want to say one other funny story. In 2016, when I got this started, there was this very expensive restaurant that I had an appointment with. Their average was between $175 to $200 for 2 people. I remember walking into the restaurant. The 2 owners came over and said, "Who are you?" And I said, "My name's David Michaelson. We have an appointment." And he said, "Is this direct mail?" And I said, "Yes." Because, "I'm sorry you drove all the way down here, but you have to leave now. We're not interested." So I'm like, he said, "Let me ask you a question. What's the main reason that people come into your restaurant?" And they're like, "Birthdays." I said, "That's the number one occasion that people come into your restaurant. They're like birthdays." And I said, "Well, what about if I could get you thousands of birthdays to come in? Would you be interested?" And they're like, "That's impossible. How are you going to find birthdays?" I said, "If you give me 30 minutes, I can show you how." And they're like, "Okay, get them a drink." Sat down at the table. 30 minutes later, they were doing 2,000 birthdays a month. They didn't look at it as a coupon. They looked at it as a gift certificate. And I remember the offer was $40, no strings attached.
Wow.
So, and how about this? Sometimes we all need a little bit of luck. About a week after the mailing came out, I was very nervous to call because this was a downtown Baltimore restaurant and they were mailing suburbs. So it was a 30, 40-minute drive. You had to wear a sport jacket if you were a gentleman. If it was a female, you had to wear a dress. So there was definitely a dress code. You had to park on the street. It wasn't like a parking lot. And I'm like, oh God, I'm praying to God that it would work. So I call there. I tell them, oh, the cards just came out, even though I knew they were really out for a week. And he goes, oh, yeah, we've already gotten several in. As a matter of fact, the first one in was a group of 18 people that spent $1,700 and some dollars.
Pay
I'm
for
like,
the whole
what?
program in one
Yeah,
shot.
he shot. And they were laughing. They're like, we got a $1,700 group and they came in because of your $40 gift certificate. They were like stunned. And from that point forward, they loved me. They trusted me. And they did $13,000 to $16,000 a month in business and got a lot of new people and got a lot of people who hadn't been there for years to start coming back. One of my bigger success stories.
Have you spent a lot of time working with, kind of the fast casual style, the pizzeria? I guess you adjust the offer based on ticket average
Oh,
of the restaurant because, pizzerias are probably $25 to $35 ticket average. So maybe it's not a $20 offer, but maybe it's a $10 offer.
might be 10. Yeah, we work with local pizzerias, Italian restaurants, and almost any other category you'd think of all over the country. Where their average ticket could be 30 or 40 dollars, upwards of $100 to $200. Everybody's different, but at the end of the day, new movers and birthdays works. And it's a really great audience. It's a great way to build up your clientele. What now a lot of restaurants are doing with us is at the end of the month, there's a code in the gift certificate and enables us to track the person's name, their income, their age, whatever. So that way, after so many months, not only can we give them a list of people that came and ate at your restaurant, we can start sharing demos. Your average customer makes $75,000 a year. Your average customer is female. She's 44 years old and so forth. So it can really help you with other future advertising,
Yeah, you can start to
knowing who your,
target
knowing who
it.
your customer is. Right.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. If you walk into a business and they're like, well, tell me who your customer is, Tyrell. Most of them can't answer the question. And by doing what we're doing, we could help them with that. The other thing is, now that we're building them a list of people, we've seen like, hey, once a year, we want to send out a card, to all these birthday customer, new mover customers who came in, maybe with another special offer or whatever it might be. Or, hey, we'd like some help for Mother's Day. Can you send out all the people who responded? Send them cards out. We want to really build our reservations for Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Christmas, New Year's, whatever it might be. So that's another way that they can use the list of people that came in over the course of that year.
That's very interesting. It's almost, the same benefits of a loyalty program, but you give them the benefit before they ever even show loyalty to you.
One other thing I would like to say is when we walk into a restaurant and we tell them about the birthday program, you'd be surprised and say, we already have a birthday program, David. And of course, the minute they say that, the minute I hear that, they're 90% sold.
Well, it means you have a loyalty program running in the background that's not doing anything.
Yep. So I would say to them, well, tell me about your birthday program, Tyrell. Well, we have 73 people and we send them an email and we give them a free piece of cake. And I said, well, let me ask you a question, Tyrell. I happen to know this area, and based on the demographics, there's 1,700 birthdays within a 3-mile radius of this. What are you doing to make sure that they don't go to your competitors? And they're like, I'm not doing anything. I didn't know there were that many birthdays. I'm like, that's why we're the special occasion experts. We can get those birthdays to come in here. And they're like, sign me up. And they understand it. It's completely different than what they're doing.
I love it. I love it. What's the lead time or the turnaround time on actually signing up for a program and starting to see, cards or new movers or birthdays actually coming into your door? How long does it take to drive traffic?
It's a great question. Within days. So basically, what we would do is we would learn about your restaurant, give you a beautiful agency type art design. We would learn what demographics, zip codes, radius, income, age, all that. Then we would, design the card, have you approve it, you pick out your demos. And then we have deadlines twice a week. So every Tuesday and every Friday, we have deadlines, and our cards go out within the next business day after. First class postage, they're in the homes within a few days. So we could literally sign you up, and you could be in the homes in probably 10 days to 2 weeks or less, maybe less. It's very fast. And then once we get you in, then basically our program, your cards would hit the first week of every month. Because the issue is we don't know, Terrell, that your birthday is April 23rd. We just know that your birthday's in April. So we have cards go out the first week of the month. And then we advise an expiration date of 90 days. So if somebody's getting that card the first week of April, then we would suggest expiring that card June 30th. Because people work, people travel, they have a lot going on. They may not be able to use it in that first 30 days. And the bottom line is the most important thing we want is for them to use it days. And what we find interesting is once we get that advertiser to the third month and longer, response rates just go up, and up, because technically you've got 3 months worth of cards out there at all times, less the people who use them.
I like that. It's almost compounding.
Exactly. That's exactly the words that we use when we're talking to a prospective client is compounding. That's exactly right.
Love it. How does somebody find you if they want to learn more about celebration marketing?
Well, we have a website, celebrationmarketing.us. You can learn about the birthday, new mover programs, other things that we do. There are samples of the cards. You can see what they look like. Everything is custom designed. You can see samples of our birthday, new mover cards, other things we do. Sure, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, see, you're such a good dude. And full disclosure, David and I have been talking a couple of times here over the last couple of weeks, and he's quickly becoming one of my good friends just because he's such a good dude. And you're about to just say your phone number to the world. That's how I love you. You're a good guy. So,
Thank you.
But we'll put it out in the description in the show notes. And man, yeah, definitely reach out to him because I think it's really cool. I love the program. The cards are super high quality. I've seen them. You sent me samples. This is a potential game changer for pizzerias, especially those that don't have marketing programs in place or haven't really explored mail, or maybe you have but you didn't really you did money mailer or something. Nothing against those programs, but the shared mail is different than first class mail and having a real piece go out.
Yeah, I agree. And one last thing I would like to say is, and I should have covered this, is every postcard that goes out is different. If it's happy birthday to Tyrell, happy birthday David, happy birthday Jennifer, every card is different where it has the person's name on the front and back. And personalization in direct mail, it's called variable data technology, can double to triple response rates by having the individual's name on there. So I wanted to share that with everybody. That's a very, very big deal.
Is that what contributes to those double digit returns? Because typically we expect, maybe 1.5% return on mail.
Yes, that personalization is a major key on getting double digit returns. There's no doubt about it. When you get a piece of mail that has your name on it, happy birthday, Tyrell, and then on the back it says Tyrell, it's a happy birthday note from the owner of the restaurant, signed by the owner of the restaurant, has your name there, like you're invited. And then it says happy birthday, Tyrell. All of a sudden, instead of it going in the trash, you hold on to it, save it, use it. That's a major reason that we get the returns that we do. And we work with restaurants and we have a 95% repeat rate, which is real, as you can imagine, it's really high.
That is incredible. So okay, Pizza King family, I'm going to go email David, give him a call, go figure out a way for your restaurant to try this out and work with them because I think it could be, a potential game changer for those folks out there. So go check him out. And he's a super great guy. Well, thank you, sir. I know that you have another call to prep for here in a couple of minutes. So I won't keep you any longer. Thanks again. Let me hit stop on record. But this was great.
Thank you for having me.
If you've gotten any value out of this episode or any of our other episodes, I need you to do me a favor. Go leave us a review. Every review on Apple, every 5-star rating on Spotify helps this show find more operators just like you and helps them get that same value that you're taking away from this episode. And as a thank you, anytime somebody leaves a review, sends me a screenshot, just DM me a screenshot of your review, I'm going to send you a free gift, something awesome, something cool. I'll send you a gift, whoever leaves a review. That's the challenge. Go leave a review, DM me a screenshot of it, and then I'll get you something. I got you something special from your boy. Now let's get back into the episode. Peace.